cytology, that's a cell, and they put a nucleus in here, right? So then that's what they have in there. So then usually the boundaries of the cell are provided to you by the plasma membrane, right? You're going to have a nucleus in there. Filling the cell, you're going to have this material in there, which is going to be like a gel, which is going to be called the cytoplasm. Okay, and inside there, you're going to have other cell structures such as cell organelles, which are going to be like the organs that we have in our body, but they're going to be actually inside the cell and they're going to have different functions, right? So those are going to be the cell organelles. So if we scroll down right here, we can see some of these cell organelles that we are talking about. So some of these organelles are going to be called ribosomes, where we produce proteins. Peroxisomes that are going to be used by the cell in order to neutralize toxic material that the cell may have, like free radicals. Mitochondria is going to be the cell organelle where we are going to produce ATP necessary for the energy that the cell in our body is going to use. Endoplasmic reticulum is a set of tubes or channels that are going to transport proteins to the Golgi apparatus. Right, we said that ribosomes where we produce our proteins, then the endoplasmic reticulum is going to transport these proteins to the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus is going to use these proteins, and they are going to be modified. The proteins are going to be modified by the Golgi apparatus. After they're going to be modified, they're going to be packaged, and they're going to be released by the Golgi apparatus to the cell, so the cell can use it in the cell membrane, for example, or outside the cell, depending on what the functions this particular cell is performing. It's going to be shipped outside the cell, for example, in the case of hormones. Lysosomes are going to be other cell organelles that are going to help us to eliminate things that the cell no longer wants. Like, for example, all ribosomes are going to be destroyed in the lysosomes, right? If this particular cell that we have is going to destroy microorganisms, for example, so then bacteria that are going to be phagocytized by these cells are going to be destroyed in the lysosomes. Okay, so then those are going to be cell organelles that we have in there. Not all of them, obviously, right? So then we're going to have some other ones. So then right here, we have some graphical representation of these cell organelles that I was mentioning to you. So right here, we have some of them like this. You have them right here, like this. So those are the same things that I was drawing right here, right? Those are going to be like that. As I mentioned before, the boundaries of the cell are going to be provided by the cell membrane. This one right here is the cell membrane right there, and that is this one that you have right here in green. What is the cell membrane composed of? Then if we scroll back up here, we can see that the cell membrane is going to be composed of organic compounds. Which ones are some of the organic compounds that we have? Then we're going to have lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, right? And these organic compounds are basically what we are going to eat. So do we have lipids? Yes. You can see in here, it says in here that we have phospholipids, for example, right? Phospholipids are going to be this head right here. That's going to be the phosphate. You see two tails in here. That's going to be the lipid. But you have one in there and another one right here at the bottom. So that's why the cell membrane is considered a phospholipid bilayer, because you have one layer in here and you have another layer right here. So you have two layers of phospholipids. That's why it's going to be called what? A phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so then what other lipids we have? So then we're going to have, for example, right here in golden, they are showing you cholesterol. This one in golden right there, right? This one right here, golden right there, that's going to be cholesterol. And cholesterol is another lipid there. Do we have carbohydrates? Yes, as you can see here, we have carbohydrate chains right here. Most of the time, the carbohydrates are going to be associated with proteins, for example. So therefore, these are going to be, these ones right there are going to be glycoproteins right there. Right, so then obviously that means that we have proteins. We have proteins such as these ones, for example, right there. Those are proteins. Okay, so as you can see here, your cell membrane, therefore, is going to be composed of lipids, such as, for example, phospholipids and cholesterol. They're going to be composed of carbohydrates. As you can see here, you're going to have glycoproteins. It's going to be composed of also proteins. So you can see these ones, right? Those are going to be proteins. Right? And those are going to be obviously components of the cell membrane. Okay. So then let's keep moving then. So then we said that ribosomes are a place where we synthesize proteins, right? So then in the ribosome, we are going to synthesize the proteins. So then we're going to have a tube right here that is going to take this protein to the Golgi apparatus. Right? So here's the Golgi apparatus, so right here. Okay, and then right here, we're going to have the ribosome, like that. So then the ribosome, that's where we make the proteins. So the protein that is produced by the ribosomes, here in red, the protein will fall right here into this tube, right there. The tube will transport this protein down right here. So what's the name of this tube? That's going to be the endoplasmic reticulum, right there, that one. So this tube is going to take this protein that was creating the ribosome right here to this part right here. What is this? This is the Golgi apparatus. So this protein that was like this, then this protein is going to be transformed into a box right here. The transformation of this protein, the modification of this protein in order to make it like a box, that's going to happen in the Golgi apparatus. Now, this Golgi apparatus not only is going to modify it, but it's going to package it in order to be used by the cell where this protein was created, or it's going to be sent outside the cell. Now, obviously, when you create something, there's going to be some garbage that is going to be left over. So then what happens with this garbage that is going to be left over, right? This garbage right there is going to be destroyed by the lysosome. Now, sometimes the waste that we produce by producing this box right there, sometimes that is going to be toxic. So then that toxic material is going to be neutralized right here in the peroxisome right there. The transportation of this protein is going to be done by the endoplasmic reticulum. Yes, but the endoplasmic reticulum, in order to transport it, needs to have some energy. So the energy, so this protein can be transported, that energy is going to come from the mitochondria, which is this one right here. So then we were saying, obviously, we have all these organelles in there, right? So then right here, you have the mitochondria, right, where we said that we're going to produce the ATP, right, which is going to be the energy for the cell. One thing to mention about the mitochondria is going to have two membranes, right? Right here is one membrane, and right here you have another membrane, as you can see right there. Okay, you have the two membranes in there. And this is very important because in these two membranes, that's where we're going to produce the ATP. So we scroll down right here. We have a couple of other organelles right here. Centrioles. Centrioles are going to work when the cell is dividing. So the centrioles work only during the cell division, for example, during mitosis. So what is the job of the centrioles? To make sure that basically the cell divides in half, right, in the middle, especially the chromosomes. It's going to make sure that half of the set of chromosomes will go to one cell and the other half goes to the other cell, right? So what is mitosis? Cell division, meaning you have one cell, you're going to get two cells, right? So then what is mitosis? Getting two cells from one. So then the job of the centrioles is to make sure that the DNA that you have will go to this cell and the other set will go to this other cell. Okay, now what's the nucleus? Well, the nucleus is where the DNA is going to be located, right? And what is the DNA? It's the genetic material that was given to you by your dad and by your mom. Everything that you are is in your genetic material, in your DNA, that is going to be found in your nucleus.